Oh my God. Like, I would not agree personally on that I have limited myself that way, but I see a lot of people in my generation doing that, men or women both.
I am a Chandler looking for my Monica.
That's
and
a lot
that
of
was
efforts
the
to put in.
inherent problem with me.
When it comes with a pro like this, that you have the freedom to get out of a toxic relationship, it also comes with a con that you get out of relationships every time you have a minor inconvenience.
Generally, I've had this discussion before and I always said that my heart is because of my mom, but my mind is because of my father.
Having a father or the male figure in the home means protection for your family. That's a very important aspect that people forget, because they mainly deal with the outside world. They know the world is harsh, the world is cruel, people will cut you in half, so you have to be hard with them.
Can I ask you a really personal question, if you don't mind? Do you feel that it is possible for a single mother to provide for all the parts that a father should have, but for some reason?
क्या वो आपको 360 degree nourishment
That's what
मिलेगा mentally?
That's what I'm asking.
Maybe physically yes, but
Psychologically,
maybe mentally,
let's say.
psychologically no.
I was very opinionated about how my father brought us up. Never like, beta kem che, how are you?
Like a hug on Father's
Never,
Day.
never. No,
They'll be like,
no.
क्या कर रहा है भाई तू?
It's weird for him.
Especially in India, we are still trying to hear women's problems. We are still trying to recognize them and their problems. Maybe this is an issue, but I haven't come across any of that.
ये जो है ना, यहाँ पे डेवलपमेंट यहाँ पे नहीं है. जिन वुमेन को एक्चुअली फेमिनिज्म का यूज करना है, करे फॉल अंडर दैट, वही नहीं कर पा रहे. एंड जिनके पास वो वेपन नहीं होना चाहिए, उनके पास उसका पूरा ऐसा स्टैक पड़ा है. देयर आर रूम्स फुल ऑफ फेमिनिज्म एंड दे आर रॉन्गली यूजिंग इट.
Sometimes it's like women want all the advantages, but none of the disadvantages. They want.
That's the definition of
Basically, you are
feminism
trying to
that
say
has been
women don't want to do
force-fed.
the hard work, but they do want the advantages, same as men.
I won't just say hard work. I'll say women don't want to do the dirty work a lot of the time.
Men, why don't you cry? So,
I
you know,
cry.
sometimes,
I
yeah,
think
but
that stereotype is
you know,
breaking
last
down
time we
very fast.
discussed this, someone had said that, यार मुझे रोना ही नहीं है. तुम क्यों मुझे रुलाने पे तुले हुए कि रो. When we say that men don't cry and men should cry, a man who is comfortable with not crying or is uncomfortable with crying, you know, we are forcing them to cry.
I agree that this statement is propagated very heavily, but I don't agree with this statement.
If you don't like something, doesn't mean you hate it. I come from a group of people who is very indifferent because I don't understand it.
If you don't blindly agree with a lot of things that some members of the community say, you're definitely labeled as homophobic.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing is listen to understand, don't listen to respond.
When I have a conversation with my boyfriend, I try explaining my part of it. There's a lot of times when he's like, okay, I have never thought about this. And that does happen vice versa. When he's trying to explain me things, I'm like, I don't even know that exists.
Communication cues from the opposite gender is a little bit of a tricky thing, and you have to find it.
I agree.
There are nuances, you have to pick up on those. The hidden frequency, reading between lines and all that. It doesn't work with us usually. We are very plus and minus people.
We're also easy to get to the point. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, to the point.
यही
We are
बात कर रही है ना,
discussing
तो
to
कर-
the
वही
point.
कर लेते हैं ना.
I think
Don't
this
beat
is
around
the
the
problem
bush.
actually. वो beat around the bush लगता है, but then there are so much things going on.
What they want is to... They want men to understand that we want this without them saying that they want this.
I have been accused, legitimately, I have been accused of understanding the opposite person too much.
हमने खुद को राइट स्वाइप तक सीमित कर लिया है. We have reduced ourselves to right swipes.
Oh my God. I would not agree. I would not agree personally on that I have limited myself that way, but I see a lot of people in my generation doing that, men or women both. I think it is such a sad scenario that even people, we right swipe, even people, like, अभी तक कपड़े खरीदते तो ठीक था, कपड़े देखना ठीक था, बट लोगों को इस तरह से देखना या जज करना is so wrong. We are actually looking at a picture and deciding if that person is nice. So it's sad actually.
But I
It's
guess
just nice with summarizing the entire person through the picture and the
Yeah. I think
bio.
it's about judging people from their looks. We used to
Yeah,
say
it's
that a lot
almost like-
earlier, that you cannot know a book from its cover, by its cover. So I think that's what the right swiping thing is. So if I talk about me personally, I have not, but as an entire generation or the human race right now, yes, we have, because the cancel culture, as we talked about earlier, it's so quick to judge and to say, oh, I don't like that person. You have not even spent 10 minutes. Like, you're just in that room for 2 minutes with that person and you just say that you don't like them, or you see their picture and you just left swipe. So I think, yes, and our attention span has a huge role to play in that. We don't give people enough opportunities to actually present themselves. So yeah, I think I agree to
But there are
a huge
many, I
extent.
feel there are many psychological aspects to online dating. I feel one is definitely the lack of willingness to commit to something, or commit to, or to be able to, okay, I'll just put it in one term which we all know as instant gratification. You want instant
Oh, yeah.
gratification. You don't want to go through that, will it happen, will it not happen, what is she thinking, what are we
The whole
thinking.
process.
I texted her, she's not texted me back in an hour, or vice versa. I think to not go through that entire thing, which kind of makes that entire thing worth it, or makes that entire thing beautiful, or perfect in being imperfect, or whatever, or unique. And I think that instant gratification is something that people get from social media, and that they don't have to put in that extra effort. And also because the youth is generally drained out of whatever they're trying to catch up with or cope up with, or some dream that they think is very important that needs to be achieved right now. So to cut that time out, I think that's the method they use.
But I agree to the fact that social media has turned people like self-doubting themselves and judging people on a lot of things. I think the culture of you do you, like let me do mine, should be adopted a lot, so that the problem of judging people, or that judging culture, and because there's a lot of problem when it comes to self-doubting, and a lot of teenagers are self-doubting themselves these days. So I think that culture should be adopted more often. And I also feel that because of these many options, we tend to not put in much efforts, which initially I think the reason why things worked out between people were because they used to put efforts. Now people don't put efforts. They are like, it's okay, I'll just right swipe somebody else. It's so disposable to have somebody in your life and then just dispose them off
as well.
Yeah,
it is.
and it is very sad.
And coming from the longest amount of time that I've spent, being single or whatever, I've tried everything, offline, online, fast, slow, XYZ. What I've felt is that both the things have their own, merits and demerits. So the whole concept of dating apps and the, my Tinder bio at one point of time said, I am a Chandler looking for my Monica and a Ted looking for my Robin.
That's
And
a lot
that
of
was
efforts
the
to put in.
inherent problem with me. We as Teds, we are looking for a Robin, and not the Tracys. Tracy,
Oh my god, I hadn't seen the last season.
uh,
Go ahead.
you should have. It's been almost a decade now. Now it's How I Met Your Father is on.
No, but you just ruined it. You
Yeah.
said the name of the mother.
वापस देख
I
लेना.
mean, if you don't watch it for a decade, it's on you, man.
Yeah, मतलब come
Okay.
on. और कितना spoiler
A
को
decade
पकड़ के
ago, I was
रखोगे?
9 years old, guys.
Uh,
God's sake.
Thank you for the reminder.
I'll just connect this with the scientific
Yeah.
backup. So we all know about dopamine and dopamine release, right? We feel good when something that we like happens. So what he mentioned right previously, that the process that takes a lot of time and the gravity that you feel for the work, तो जो टाइम लगना चाहिए कुछ चीज़ों के लिए 1 साल 2 साल या फिर 10 साल, उसके बाद जो ग्रेटिफिकेशन मिलेगा वो भी इंस्टेंटली हर एक जगह पे मिल रहा है. बी इट बाइंग क्लोथ्स, बी इट फाइंडिंग अ लव पार्टनर और एनीथिंग. Like you don't have to be awkward in front of a girl कि हाँ ये हो गया था. You don't have that opportunity to be a fool. आप बस swipe कर लो. So you are not taking any responsibility. And what is happening is कि वो dopamine level हर रोज एकदम हाई पे पहुंच गया हर सबका. और हल्का सा फील होता है तो people feel bored. And that's why they again go to Instagram. So they switch to the apps. And that's why the concept of dopamine detox has come into existence. You should listen to Huberman.
Yeah, it's
I'm
very
not sure.
good.
Huberman's
Andrew
podcast, you
Huberman.
should listen to him. Dopamine detox is quite necessary, right? कि boring tasks जो लगते हैं उसमें भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा gravity है. उसको complete करने के बाद आपको
Exactly.
actual में अच्छा feel होगा. And that will not be shallow pleasure which you get from social media or any instant gratification that you have. So same thing that I think that yes, our generation, इंडिया में तो आई थिंक मेनली मेट्रो सिटीज़ एंड सेमी मेट्रो में शायद हो रहा है.
Yeah.
बाकी जगह पे तो कम हो रहा है. बट अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड आई फील कि वी हैव रिड्यूस आवरसेल्व्स टू राइट स्वाइप विच इज़ नॉट एट ऑल गुड. राइट, वी डू नॉट बिल्ड रिलेशनशिप्स बेस्ड ऑन द ग्रेविटी, बेस्ड ऑन द कॉन्वर्जेशंस. वी build our relationships based on, and also discard the relationship based on the looks or the likes or instant gratification. अगर dopamine नहीं मिल रहा है so just leave it.
And I would just like to add this one single point which he said. It reminded me that my mom was saying the other day that हमारे टाइम में तो जो होता था हम चला लेते थे. आजकल की लड़कियों को बहुत ज़्यादा डिमांडिंग हो गई है. हर चीज़ में उनके नाटक होते हैं. She said it in a very different context. She is a very good woman, guys. But what it takes out is that today we have the option to get out of a relationship when it gets really toxic. The women in the earlier generations didn't have that. But at the same time, when it comes with a pro like this, that you have the freedom to get out of a toxic relationship, it also comes with a con that you get out of relationships every time you have a minor inconvenience. They're not replying on time, they're not giving it. And dude, that person, whether it's a female partner or a male partner, they might be working.
They have a life.
Exactly. So you can't constantly expect them to be doing things according to you. You expect replies, you expect them to be here, there, everywhere. So I think that is also one thing which is like a pro and con thing, that we need constant gratification. We need the other person to be at their toes for us all the time, which is not fair. So I think there also the right side things come, that we're getting in relationships, getting out of relationships, and it's just a very dirty mess and not a beautiful one.
I feel like the entire, like whatever our social media or online dating is all to minimize the risk that you feel that, I might get rejected or whatever. So,
But yeah, he has a very valid point that everything has lost its meaning. We have become sort of kind of mindless zombies which are controlled by some algorithm developed by some coding guy to promote ads. It's not for you.
And
It's not for me.
it prohibits you to be vulnerable at all. Like you look at Instagram, nobody's telling the truth. Even if they are saying something that is not right
really ruins
or not
expectations,
glorified,
doesn't
it is.
I have seen people
it ruins them.
who do this reel के अंदर crying bit.
Yeah, then it is.
That's also fake. बहन तू हर चीज में रो रही है, अब वो भी गलत है. तू रो तो ले सही से. But see, that's what has become. Everyone is an actor. Everyone has got masks now.
Yes.
And फिर हम लोग बोलते हैं, who's your favorite actor? Anybody can be.
Oh my God.
Everyone
That's too much
is.
truth.
पुरुष बच्चों की परवरिश में पर्याप्त भाग नहीं लेते. Men do not participate enough in raising children.
I think I agree to that, but there are, two sides to every coin. One is that oftentimes men don't have the privilege to take enough participate enough in the child's, growing years. A lot of men even say this कि जब वो छोटा था या छोटी थी तब मैं रह ही नहीं पाया उसके साथ, because they are busy providing for them, and all the responsibilities is on the male to provide for the child, and they want to give the best care to the baby. But also the other side is that a lot of men also take this as an advantage and they don't participate enough. And second, जब भी ऐसा कुछ होता है कि बच्चा बदमाशी करता है तो क्या बोलते हैं कि
पापा को
मम्मी-
बताएंगे.
हाँ, पापा को बताएंगे, वो तो होता ही है, बट मम्मी ने सिखाया नहीं. So the whole responsibility of raising the child as a good human falls on the mother. So I think I agree. As I said, two reasons. One is they don't get the opportunity, and second, sometimes a lot of men don't choose to.
I disagree with the prom completely. That's first. As per the rules, the traditional rules, which nowadays have been changing, what you mentioned is true, that father from morning to evening, they are busy in providing, right? And then they come home, of course, what he also mentioned, tired. Then also they spend time with their children, whatever time they get. That's very first thing. The other things, the way to look after is not just being present over there physically, right?
Yeah.
Having a father or the male figure in the home means protection for your family. That's a very important aspect that people forget, right? The other thing is the masculine trait also instills a sense of discipline in the child. And female, on the other hand, are more empathetic, they are more emotional. So, of course, when there are problems, right? So, children will go to their mother and, of course, they cry and sort things out. But when it comes to discipline, because they mainly deal with the outside world, they know the world is harsh, the world is cruel, okay? People will cut you in half. That's very true. So, you have to be hard with them. So, that's their fatherly love. Does not mean that they do not participate enough in growing their child or, instilling a lot of...
I would disagree to the prompt because when we say the contribution or involvement of two parent, I think as a father and as a mother, there are definitely different roles. You cannot expect the father to be changing nappies and then say that I'm equal, or mother to go out and provide and only then say I'm equal. I think both of them have very different kind of roles which are set, and I'm not saying set in the terms of karna hi chahiye, but those are something which is very naturally comes to them, and it is to be okay. I am myself somebody who lost her father at a very young age, so I know that if you don't have a father, the kind of sense of security that you called, that is lost. And when a child is growing up, it is very important to have a father in that terms, the discipline, the the kind of preparedness that you get for the world, that definitely comes when there's a father figure in the story. And I think that makes it like they have to be proportionally equal, not exactly equal. So I do not agree.
So, can I ask you a really personal question, if you don't mind? Do you feel that it is possible for a single mother to completely provide for all the parts that a father should have, but for some reason may not be present? Do you think it is possible? Because it's just been a very many times when I come across a situation where there is a mention of a single mother, it becomes it's one of those questions that is it possible? Is it?
See, it is possible when you look at it. It's like क्या बच्चे बड़े हो सकते हैं? बच्चे तो दोनों माँ बाप के
ऐसे
होंगे तो
नहीं,
भी बड़े
but
हो जाएंगे,
वो तो
वैसी
है,
बात है.
वो
तो
तो है.
वो हो तो सकता है, बट क्या वो आपको 360 डिग्री नरिशमेंट
That's what
मिलेगा
I-
mentally?
That's what I'm asking.
Maybe physically, yes, but
Psychologically,
maybe mentally,
let's say.
psychologically, no. I think there is a part where even if the strongest woman is taking care of you, there will be parts where you will feel that there has to be a father to deal with certain
Just the
things.
presence you feel.
Yes, the presence, the security, the sense of safety, the sense of, having that idol in your mind. So those things matter, of course, they matter a lot. And in fact, it's not about just not having a father. Even having a father who's not emotionally attached to you can also be a very traumatic situation, which I think हमारे parents का जो generation था उसमें बहुत ही normal चीज़ थी. Parents not, father not being emotionally attached to the kid.
See, I had my set of, thoughts about that. I was very opinionated about how my father brought us up. But as, time went by, I sort of understood that it was not a thing of choice sometimes, because my dad never communicated with me. मतलब literally हमारा communication काम के regarding ही रहता है. My dad still, he talks to me only regarding work. Never like beta केम छे, how are you?
Like a hug on Father's
Never,
Day.
never. No.
They'll be like, क्या कर रहा है भाई तू?
It's weird for him. But then I realized that's his love language, Gen Z term. I just came.
Don't look at me when you say Gen Z.
Most of the fathers that I have come across, including my own, for them the child is the thorough motivation to do whatever he does. Whatever he does. बोले किसके लिए कर रहा हूँ? बच्चों के.
I think it goes for both
Family.
of them.
I think they also felt like it was necessary for their persona to be this hardened, stoic.
He prepared us for the world.
Like you can't really discuss with them. It's not like you can't discuss with them, but they felt like it was their job to be the like the tree around which you tie the rope, so that the.
And I know his father also, so I can say for a fact that his father is also very strong, very masculine energy, very, very ekdam kadak. Hey, don't do this. As a child, किसी को भी लगेगा what dad मतलब always scolding me, but no, he's actually making him tough.
And honestly, I do agree with what you said earlier, that in the beginning, I used to, it wasn't like he wasn't emotionally available. He always, like, since I can remember, he always said that whatever happens, whatever you do, whatever happens, you can always come to me. You don't have to ever. And he would also be very gentle with me in many moments, but he was very rough with me in many moments. And in those moments, I used to be like, why is this happening right now? But 100% looking back, I think that's where I got a lot of my resistance from. That's where I work with a friend of mine recently. We've just decided to open a restaurant. And in certain moments, he'll just look at me and be like, how are you still on your 2 feet right now? How are you? Because I'm like, okay, now, and this is after 14, 15 hours of work and a workout in the morning and everything. And then I'll still be like, okay, now let's sit down for an hour and plan what we're going to do tomorrow. And he'll be
What
like,
time is it exactly?
this is probably like at 2 a.m. at night.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, can you just let me go home now, please? I miss my bed right now. But I really thank my dad for that. Because that gives me the
I would just
resilience.
like to add one thing to that. A lot of people tell me that, yeah, why are you so, matlab, I like to work long hours. So a lot of people tell me, yaar, matlab, there should be a balance. I think I tell them every time that this is not the time for balance right now.
Yeah.
These
Very
are the
true.
years where I want to go all in and just do whatever I can.
Absolutely.
So I think I also thank my father for that, because my mother was the one who, like, when I was in my boards ke exam and everything, I used to be awake till 6 in the morning. She would wake up and say कि तू ठीक है ना, तेरे को कुछ चाहिए क्या? And then she would go to bed. But my father is the one who in all these years has always said, अगर मैं घर आके बोलती हूँ ना कि आज मेरे सर ने ये बोला था, या मेरे बॉस ने ये बोला, या फिर मैं फर्स्ट आई हूँ या मैं सेकंड आई हूँ, तो he would always be like, हाँ तो. So I think that I've picked it up from him कि यार कितना भी हो जाए ना, कभी उसको सर पे मत चढ़ने दो. And just keep going, because there is something better. So I think if not for him, I would not be this person I am, because mummy is always like, सो जा सुबह पढ़ लेना, but my dad is like, पढ़ने दो उसको.
Yeah.
काम सुबह कर लेना, नहीं करने दो उसको. So dads have a way of, a lot of people say कि dads are not there, but mine has been there in all of these times where he has made me tough, and also in times where my mom would say कि पापा को बोल दूंगी. So if not that way, he has been in the sayings of my mom.
But yeah, I totally agree. And it's not only for the emotional support that a kid needs. There are times where your dads are supervising or overseeing the whole growth and the decision making, like which school are you going, what subjects are you taking, and all of that. He does have that in mind. Maybe he won't discuss that with you, or you don't know about it. But there are a lot of decision making that happens and comes through him. But it's not only about the emotional support that a kid we all need, So
I think a lot of times, it's like I tell my, generally I've had this discussion before, and I always say that my heart is because of my mom, but my mind is because of my father. So that really puts into place, I mean, of course, my mom's also helped me. She helps me. She has a very good approach to things sometimes. Like my dad's approach will be very analytical, and then my mom will just put one small point over there. And yeah.
I am a mama's boy, so I am very close to my mom, and it's like that only. Whenever I need to talk, I go to my mother, and whenever I need to listen to, I go to my father.
I have a final point to add over here, and I keep comparing to the West because I think I just, it's my opinion that their culture has been destroyed. So there is this recent survey, right, and it's been trending in America. The fatherlessness, homes without fathers have increased. Like there are a lot of homes where kids, they stay with their mother, but they do not have their father because of the divorce or whatever reasons. And we all know the shootings or the depression or anxiety issues are higher in the West, right? Yeah. So when you don't have the father figure, someone to discipline you, someone who tells you that hard work is necessary, that gravity is necessary, you sort of do not have that path, right? And you just go haywire, and you do not have a purpose or aim, and children over there, the teenagers over there, they are aimless many of the times, right? And that's why these things happen. They are in depression. They use drugs a lot, right? A lot of families, they do not have father figure at all.
And this is very sad. I would like to add on, I recently read somewhere, I'm not sure how much of it is scientifically true and proven, but it was said that the number of women who fall for all the men with red flags, like go into toxic relationships, are majorly the women who have not had fathers in their life, because they do not have somebody to look up to and see what is the standard.
Yeah.
So they don't know what is the standard. So they go for the people who are not treating them well, who are not looking at them as equal, who are thinking that they own them or something like that. But it is majorly with the women who have not had fathers.
But I'll also counter question you. Because I've seen a lot of girls and teenagers doing this. When families and their fathers tell them, nowadays generation, that you don't do this, they feel a lot of rebellious nature. हमारे में भी rebellious nature था,
That
but
was the
these people,
upbringing.
these people, they have the rebellion inside them. It's completely on another level that you cannot tell me to do this. Because of social media, I believe.
So Maslow's law of hierarchy, if you see. So even in that, the needs has changed, Earlier it was, if you look at the generations, 2 generations back, the importance was given to survival, how you will survive in the world. Then it was then the other generation came up with respect and fame and recognition. And now the generation is all about, अगर यहाँ नहीं मिल रहा तो कहीं और मिलेगा.
Shallow pleasures.
Yes. And that's it. And I think this is where it is coming from.
Agree.
The rebellious nature.
महिलाएं नारीवाद को हथियार बना रही है. Women are weaponizing feminism.
To some extent, I agree. I agree
To some extent.
To some extent, because see, if you look at it, there are two very you can draw a line between two kind of women here, and even that is also based upon where they are actually geographically placed. If you look at rural areas, there are so many things that are going wrong that you will feel कि bro ये कौन से ज़माने में रह रहा हूँ मैं. Like when you look at the people who have been born and brought up in city like I think we are all very privileged in terms of the kind of rights we have, the kind of opportunities we have, the kind of aspirations we have, and we have that because we have been brought up in a certain way. We have been around certain kind of people, certain kind of ideologies and philosophy. But what about the people who don't have that? So that's why I would agree to certain extent. For the women who live with us, I feel they have all the rights and they can do a lot of things. But for the other part, I'm not so sure. So if they are using it, it's fine. But yeah, there are incidences when it has been used very wrongly and they should not.
Like we just discussed, like if because a woman's word is taken much more seriously, I would say in terms of the law, let's say. So as we were discussing earlier, if a woman makes a claim without any proof that this gentleman has made any sexual advances at me, then there's a very high chance that the guy's life is ruined, especially, even if it's untrue.
I disagree to this is only because they're very recently girls have got their rights and freedom of being heard of their problems, and I have always heard that it might be taken as a disadvantage, but I've never came across any of such major issues yet in my life, and I know a lot of girls and I know a lot of women in my life. So we are living, I think we are living in an era where we are still, especially in India, we are still trying to hear women's problems. We are still trying to recognize them, their needs and their problems. So I think maybe this is an issue, but I haven't come across any of that. And then it might be one, but it's not like a major
It's not a very major issue.
Yeah.
I feel it happens only if there's this entire spectrum where there's no development in this place, there's a lot of development in this place, I think it happens here.
Exactly.
Maybe
That
in
it
very
happens right
countries
there.
or something.
Because
Exactly.
here there's still
Society.
suffering. I
Exactly.
feel bad saying it, but yes, you're still in this 80% range, women are still suffering.
And maybe
It's only in the really developed places where there's a lot of freedom of speech,
Yeah.
where it's become misused, I would say.
Exactly.
I think I would like to say that I agree to some extent. And when you said that ये जो है ना यहाँ पे डेवलपमेंट नहीं, यहाँ पे नहीं है, जिन वुमेन को एक्चुअली फेमिनिज्म का यूज करना है, they fall under that, वही नहीं कर पा रहे.
Exactly.
और जिनके लिए फेमिनिज्म का कॉन्सेप्ट आया था, जो अंडर प्रिविलेज्ड है, जो इतना ज्यादा they are living in such poor situations, such bad conditions, that there is toxicity all around them and they cannot do anything about it because उनके पास में weapon है ही नहीं. And जिनके पास में weapon नहीं होना चाहिए, उनके पास उसका पूरा ऐसे stack पड़ा है. There are rooms full of feminism and they're wrongly using it because they are at that level जहाँ पर उनकी नीड्स फुलफिल हो गई है. तो सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन की जगह what they are doing is they're wrongly using feminism and then they are taking like disadvantage out of that.
So inherently, I feel that the definition of feminism or the entire, structure is flawed. I'll tell you why. It started off as a way to empower women to be able to vote or to be able to have equal rights. It crossed that. And then it became more of a feminist privilege. And then that thing, the various interpretations of feminism have become extremely subjective. When we talk about a very basic structure like a village, where, there are problems, but those problems are confined to certain villages in certain areas of our country. We come from Gujarat, and I have literally seen that we have one amazing example. In fact, two examples if we consider Bombay, the territory as well. Lijjat Papad and Amul. GCMMF especially empowers only women who are the milk producers, and they directly get paid. And it's them who control the finances of the household. That's feminism for me. Gujarat leads the Rural Empowerment of Women Index by leaps and bounds. Uska reason ek hi hai. You give the keys to the house to the women. The women run an efficient thing. They don't use feminism against the men who are dependent on them. But then in, say for example, a state where the women are working and the men are having liquor from that money and then beating up those women, that's a different thing altogether. There, feminism does not exist. Right? So, what happens with the definition of feminism and the way to use it as a tool, or, it's as simple as you are taking a screwdriver, you're using it on screws, or using it as a gupti. It's up to you. It's how it's interpreted. Now, most of the definitions of feminism which are used in a vindictive way against men would be like, jo tera hai wo mera hai, jo mera hai wo mera hai.
Yeah.
That's also,
Yeah, I've heard that.
that's a way.
We discussed that last time in feminism as well.
Yeah. So
I would like to add, of course, I agree with her that mainly in the rural areas, जहाँ पे development awareness ज़्यादा नहीं, वहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. And in the highly developed areas, काफ़ी misuse होता है. But I would also like to go to the prompt that feminism, what I forgot the prompt again.
the women weaponize.
So I believe feminism, while the movement was required to uplift the woman and give equal opportunities. Guys, we are talking about equal opportunities. Does not necessarily mean that when men and women both apply their equal efforts will produce the same outcome, right?
No.
The society or their corporates will only accept the better outcome. But many of the ultra-feminists, I'll use the word ultra-feminists, what they want is they want equality in every single thing, which is not possible. For example, gender pay gap, right? A lot of women, they claim that women in general are paid less, which is true. Now, what they state a reason is that we have a patriarchal system and बस नहीं हो पाएगा उससे, तो men advantage लेके जाते हैं. A lot of powerful men are there. But they also don't understand that powerful men, they also keep rotating and it's just one man over there who is handling everything. बाकी सब काम कर ही रहे. Now, are you willing to work 70 hours a week? That's not possible. Let's say women work also. But again, as per the nature, they have their limitations. They get a monthly periods, right? They feel a lot of stress, which is quite unfortunate. They have a lot of problems and pain. Men will not have that. That is, I'd not say advantage, but that's how just the nature is. Now, I would be, as a corporate, I would be willing to employ a person who will be working 70 hours or 60 hours per week, every week.
Yeah.
You have a woman as well. You employ the woman, but you will not get the same outcome, right? The same thing happens in every domain.
I would disagree to that a little.
Yeah, I
Then a
would
lot of
agree.
then a lot of work,
As
that a lot of fields that are there. Like if you consider heavy civil engineering, if you consider
That
oil
I would
drilling, all
agree.
of these places,
That
right?
I would agree.
Women can be there, but again, these are very hard jobs, right? And what women want is equality, mainly in the corporate jobs. They are not willing to work for the low-paying jobs that a lot of men work for. The infrastructure that you see today is developed by men. A lot of men who are unfortunate, they're working for their family. No woman will come and say that, okay, I want equality over here.
So that is true even in the occupations like nursing. If you look at it, all the dyes that are all mostly women, and those are not a very.
And when you
I
say
agree.
that
But
women
it's not
cannot
like
give their
the men are
100%
going to
as
say
men.
no to that job.
No, we are okay with it.
No, but men, a lot of men are ashamed of saying that they are nurses. It's a study that's proven.
In
Fair,
fact, in the West,
but I
there are
feel like
not
in
just
So there are
overall-
India.
fields where men can do better than women and women can do better.
So
but that doesn't mean
I'll
that
back
the
it up.
outcome
I'll back
will
But I
be
to put it in a
always
simple
better
way,
for
I
men.
feel that feminism has come down to a point sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's like women want all the advantages, but none of the disadvantages. They want.
That's the
perks.
definition of
Basically, you're
feminism
trying to
that
say
has been
women don't want to do
force-fed.
the hard work, but they do want the
No,
advantages,
I
same
won't
as
even.
men.
I won't just say hard work. I'll say women don't want to do the dirty work a lot of the time. So you show me a female sewage cleaner or
I'll talk from the trades point of view. And again, we'll talk about the majority because in both the cases, extremes can be there. There are a lot of hardworking women and there are men who
once
will
there
not
is
like
a
to work.
pot washer
Exactly,
women,
yeah.
bata do.
So, men tend to be a lot of the times disagreeable. They are mainly aggressive. They are willing to work longer hours. Women most of the times they are agreeable. Okay, in a corporate environment, when you're agreeable, people will just impose things on you. That's first thing. And so, for example, if you want to have a raise or if you want to have a debate with someone, you are in competition with someone, you have to put in long hours. You have to have that thing, right? Now, the study, again, from the Scandinavian countries, because I follow Peterson a lot, and a lot of people, but Peterson a lot.
You read
right? And-
mathematical proof.
yeah, again from the data. Now, Scandinavian countries are some of the countries which are having high flexibility for their male and female, right? They are free to choose whatever they want to do. And then they gave that choice to men and women. So the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right? A lot of men, majority of the men tend to go towards STEM. With the free choice, women went towards nursing and these jobs. Women were there in STEM jobs, but the ratio was less. It was high over here. Okay, so given the free choice, given the free choice, men and women tend to revert to their original gender roles. No doubt, female, and this is also studied that female and male have almost identical IQ. It's not like आदमियों को अच्छे से मैथ आता है और फीमेल को नहीं आता है अच्छे से आता है but they tend to go towards these things because
It's a matter of choice.
yeah, exactly.
And also in our
EQ
genes,
differs.
what
If
the
I
heck
am
you
EQ,
mean?
yeah, EQ differs.
EQs where women, I feel, are doing way better than men, and it is not their fault also. It is
They're
some.
designed in
They are
certain.
designed that way.
They
They
are
are not
into
raised,
things.
and they are also given
Men
space
are into
enough
things,
to
women are
explore
into
their
people.
EQs.
Yeah.
The space is again I'm telling you, this entire definition of feminism has been force-fed. So we have to understand that the concept of feminism, the definition of feminism is very, very subjective,
Exactly.
very
Agenda-driven.
And
Many
aged,
people-
yeah.
Many of the females don't even
And the
know it.
agenda does not focus on women and they
No,
who
no, no.
actually need
The
it. or
agenda
men
is to sell.
who
more.
actually need it.
आधुनिक दुनिया में पुरुषों को मैस्कुलिन होने की अनुमति नहीं है और महिलाओं को फेमिनिन होने की अनुमति नहीं है. Men are not allowed to be masculine and women are not allowed to be feminine in the modern world.
Very touchy subject because again, this whole a lot of these male and female discussions, they just boil down to the like if we just keep going down the layer, I think we come down to define a man, define a woman, define masculinity, define femininity, and that becomes really like a really touchy subject because every time you say that, okay, I think that this is a form of masculinity or I think this is what a man should be doing. Like, let's say, for example, man A says that a guy should be really tough and strong and should have this specific kind of personality and should be devoid of emotion, or not devoid, but should not be so expressive that he's then considered girly or should dress a certain way. So I read this thing which I found very humorous and true also, that are you really good at fashion? Are you a guy that's really good at fashion if somebody doesn't think you're gay? Which
Just came to
Yeah,
my
it's
mind.
funny.
Which, I mean, it's not like completely untrue. It's not like completely true. There's a little bit of an element of truth to it also. But yeah, so I have a friend who I think he's very, very confident about his masculinity, which then allows him to add elements to his, let's say, dressing up routine or fashion routine. Let's say, for example, he puts kajal. And I genuinely really admire that about him because he has the capacity to pull it off.
Yeah.
And
Siddharth Batra.
So somebody would say कि भाई ये तो देखना लड़की जैसा काजल लगा रहा है. So that, I mean, it's a very difficult line to draw. I think it depends on your upbringing, your surroundings, the environment you've been in, the exposure you have, if you've traveled enough, if you've read enough content that is not very toxic, if you've ever had the capacity to let someone speak their mind or mention their opinion without you judging them or you being like, hey, that's not right. Like, hey, that's not how it's supposed to be.
And the top of my head
I'm
when you
loving
said
this, Talia. It's too sweet.
and the top of my head when you said about your friend Ranveer Singh, he always dress up in a very different way than how the stereotype works. And there are so many questions about, why is he wearing choli or, something like chania and all of that. But he's able to carry it. And he's confident about it. It doesn't.
Sorry, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but the only thing I feel is that the reason that it is okay in our Indian society, in spite of it being a little feminine, as generally someone would perceive, is because a lot of his other roles and his other appearances are heavily masculine. So then it kind of becomes like this. हाँ चल ये सब वो करता है. तो मतलब वो मर्द ही होगा.
He's making a statement there.
If he was a little bit effeminate, I think the general consensus would be very different. If he didn't do roles like what he did in Ram Leela or Bajirao Mastani, or what was the third one?
That was hyper
No, I
masculine.
agree with that. But
So
then
if he
he
didn't
is
have that
taking an
strong
initiative
masculine
so
portrait.
that people can see him, like guys who actually want to dress differently can get inspired from him. So I agree that he's an actor. He does have, as he said, he does have proved his masculinity in a lot of ways, in a lot of movies. But it still takes a lot of guts as an actor to do that,
So I feel it's
I think Siddharth Batra is also a very good example about the fact that.
Finally. Thanks.
So
I did it again.
I circled back to that.
I will not do that.
Komal Pandey.
Leave it. Say.
I know. So I was saying that at the end, it also comes down to the acceptance. How much we are comfortable wearing those things without thinking that what others are thinking about it. So the guy who's wearing kajal, he must be so confident about it that the others who might also be judging him will not be able to say that on his face. Because he has that aura that he's calm, he's okay, he's happy in his own skin. So I think that also comes down to women. Like I'm sure that a lot of my friends will not be comfortable to choose sari as their first thing when we have to go somewhere. Even if the theme is ethnic, they will think 4 times before wearing a sari because they have not been wired that way. We have not made it very normal or natural. If you go to the east side, Bengalis mostly usually wear saris on a simple occasion.
Normal
Also.
occasion,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even you go down south, we wear half saris down there. So when you come here, when people are not traditionally wearing a sari or something, chania choli is very common. But sari, they'll think 3 times.
Very ironic, but it is true to a certain extent that, men are not allowed to be man enough. Because, see, it implies to that, when you are behaving, acting like a man or accepting your masculine energy in its own element. So it's more like the Hulk's rage, and the more you try to suppress it, the more intensified it becomes.
I think adding to his point, the first thing that comes to my mind is, men, why don't you cry? So,
I cry.
sometimes...
I think that stereotype is breaking
last
down very
time we
fast.
discussed this and someone had said that, यार मुझे रोना ही नहीं है, तुम क्यों मुझे रुलाने पे तुले हुए कि रो. So I think when we say that men don't cry and men should cry, a man who is comfortable with not crying or is uncomfortable with crying, we are forcing them to cry. So that way I think it is true that we are not letting men be man enough or women be women enough. But at the same time, what I feel is that the society is changing, and with the wave of feminism and everything, what we are also trying to do is that we are trying to tell people that these are just stereotypes and it is time to change them. So we are trying to give them space. Maybe we are pushing extra hard and pushing the people who are comfortable with their own skin, but we are trying to make space कि यार रो सकते हो तुम बाहर जा सकते हो, तुमको पिंक चूज करने की जरूरत नहीं है, तुम पिंक चूज कर सकते हो, and we tell men. Or all of these little things, when they boil down to us trying to make space for, you know, things that are not stereotypical. Breaking those stereotypes is going to be tough. So I think that is also one of the ways to look at it, ki when we don't let a man be man enough, we are trying to tell him that, hey, the manly side is not the only side you have. You also have this feminine side, which you have not been able to explore for the past 100 or 200 years because tab space nahi tha. Tab we were fighting for survival. Tab we were fighting for survival, but now we are not fighting for survival. We are fighting for things which are up a notch. So I think it is also there. And yeah, I think जैसे a girl, if she chooses pink on her own, they'll be like, अरे तुझे pink choose करने की जरूरत नहीं है. But what if she wants to choose pink too? So that's also one of the things that, yeah,
I think
I
between
agree.
both
I agree
between
to
both
the prompt.
genders, I would feel if I had to pick one that who is not allowed to be like their gender more, I think it would be men. Because nobody tells the girl that don't dress prettily.
Why the reason is the
caring
excess of this feminism move. Because what happened with this feminism move and brands going
50%.
gaga over women empowerment in every single domain is that men, even their basic rights, they it's like they forgot that men also exist, right? In terms of equality, in the name of equality, men's basic rights, they were, I think, sort of stolen away in a way that happened. And because I think women are more empathetic and emotional, they are considered as soft, and men again quite aggressive, so considered as hard. And I think the whole world and all the brands tried everything to make everything quite soften. I think they softened every single thing, in my opinion. हर एक चीज में inclusivity, feminism की inclusivity के नाम पे उन लोगों ने सब चला लिया, और वहाँ पे issue हो रहा है, right? If we talk about, I'll again quote West, the schools over there, right? Children, their teachers, and again women dominated है काफी हद तक in primary years, but male teachers की काफी ज़्यादा कमी है. And again, no father at home. So children spend most of their times with ladies in school as well as at home. So there is no male figure to look up to, right? And then their choices as simple male figure, a boy.
You become
they are
what you see
driven by
constantly.
women's choice, right? So I think वहाँ पे काफी ज़्यादा deprived हो गए. तो masculinity का fall आया है, तो actual में आया है. And अगर नॉर्मल भी एक्सप्रेस करने जाएंगे तो दिल भी लाइक कि ये तो गलत है, इट्स नॉट इक्वालिटी, आप मेरे से अच्छे से ये करो वो करो, बट दे आर बिहेविंग वेरी नॉर्मली, नॉट इन एन एग्रेसिव मैनर, राइट? इवन इफ दे आर पुटिंग अप देयर पॉइंट इन अ नॉर्मल कॉन्वर्जेशन, दिल भी लाइक ये तो पेट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी है, ये हो जाएगा वो हो जाएगा, बिकॉज उनको तो बैक ऑफ देयर माइंड कि हाँ मेरे पास फेमिनिज्म का इतना सा सपोर्ट है, सो आई विल डू दैट. बट आई थिंक एज ही मेंशन्ड दैट men are not able to express themselves normally in their own.
But I just feel like this disparity is more in the West.
In the West,
I don't feel like in India.
I think in
or
India, I completely agree with him that in India मुझे इतना ज़्यादा issue नहीं दिखता है कि मेल और फीमेल अपने अपने तरीके से जो भी एक्सप्रेस करना, they are able to do.
Give it 5 years.
Exactly.
No, I just feel like this.
This is a debate between West
this
and India.
depiction of-
Their culture, our culture.
We just don't have to follow them blindly. Is all.
I think a lot of people are
mean,
everyone has saying that for a lot of
A lot
years.
of people.
We just
because
lot of years that.
if we do that, trust me, ये जो अभी हमारा जो अच्छा GDP चल रहा है या अच्छा जो टाइम आया हुआ है, trust me, it will all go away like this. Because as soon as we shift our focus from what is important to what is ideal, there is a very, very beautiful term in German language. It's known as Weltschmerz. Weltschmerz means the depression that we derive when we compare in our head, when we compare the real world, the world as it is, with a world how it should be in our head again. And you know who was a victim of this Weltschmerz? Hitler. Hitler compared his definition of the perfect world.
And he even tried to approach it,
Exactly.
bring it to reality.
So, today that
Not
radicalization,
him being depressed, but he got a lot of other people depressed.
yeah, when we are approaching this particular topic, we need to proceed with caution. We have to understand, we have to go back to our roots, that you wearing a sari or me wearing a dhoti is perfectly normal, it's beautiful, and it should be
And that's
celebrated.
actually our culture.
And now that both of us are wearing pants, no one can make any difference.
Semi
See?
ethnic.
Yeah. So the thing is that we have to find best of both worlds. We have to learn some things from the West. We have to learn some things from our past. Because honestly, last 1 century of our distorted definition of things, that has led to a lot of unnecessary debates and unnecessary discussions. So let's not put the discord to that fact.
And I think, just like ending the discussion, if someone doesn't want to add anything, that we are all trying, we love normalizing things today in this generation. So that's why when we run out of things to normalize, we are picking on things which are normal, trying to change them, and then normalizing what is not normal.
हाँ बस.
You know, what number is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think.
कुछ भी हुआ तो us by us.
यदि आप LGBTQ के सहयोगी नहीं हैं, तो आप homophobic हैं. If you are not an ally of the LGBTQ, you are homophobic.
I agree that this statement is propagated very heavily, but I don't agree with this statement.
I also don't agree. Because just because you don't understand something or you are not in alignment with it, it's like if you don't like something doesn't mean you hate it. You might dislike something or you just not like it. Like you can be indifferent to something.
Yeah, exactly.
That you don't have to be negative about it. You don't have to be homophobic. So I don't think so. People from this community are themselves exploring what they really want, what they really want to do. How can they expect us to understand them before they do themselves? So I don't know like where does this stand, because this is very blurry. The entire path is very blurry.
See, being homophobic is a very strong term. And being homophobic is denying someone the basic, acceptance level. Ki nahi bhai, whatever you want to do. Now it's in that direction where if it becomes a political agenda or if it becomes a conformist agenda, it becomes more like meri baat maan, warna, that's very stupid. And I used to sell insurance. So it could have been as simple as that. Okay, what if someone was, going to stab you in your stomach if you don't take insurance? It's like that. It's as simple as that. It boils down to that. You cannot threaten a person of consequences and make that person agree to your specific agenda, which has got some, reasoning behind it. If talking about the personal choices, I am all pro LGBTQ, whatever it is. But at the same time, if I do not want to be in company of those kind of individuals or people who are talking about a certain topic incessantly, and it's very incessant and it's very, very much forced. Yeah, forced is the correct word, because I don't want to talk about it. It's not something which I'm comfortable about talking. I'm not going to talk to every woman that I come across and talk to about her physical appearance or
sexuality.
I
the
think
sexuality and stuff
A
like
lot
that.
of people are indifferent about it.
Yeah,
It's like if you don't know things, or if you don't know about that particular topic or subject or people or group of people, for that sake, you don't have to like or hate them. You can be indifferent about it and maybe try understanding whenever the zone comes out.
I think the best way to put it is that, this is my belief system on this, that I don't fully understand it or I don't fully get the entire point of it. But on the flip side, I feel that just because I don't understand it or another person does not understand it, that does not mean that a person who is from this community
yeah.
does not deserve a life of love, respect, equal rights, equal opportunity, safety. I think
Absolutely.
that is
Everything,
very,
these are very basic fundamental things. and
Which
we
everybody
are-
should have,
yeah,
irrespective of the gender.
yeah.
then again, same way
Gender
how-
or
Sexual
choice.
orientation.
how I am expected to 100% go ahead with their beliefs, their
I'm
their
not going
system.
to wave that
I
flag.
have an opinion also, and again, the same way that I don't appreciate if someone forces their opinion on me, I should not be forcing my opinion on them.
True.
So it's just as long as everybody, I mean, if that's something that makes them happy, then let them go ahead and do it. As long as it's not entering into my life or breaking any of my boundaries, and same vice versa. I'm not gonna overstep on their boundaries. They can do whatever they want. It's just like that.
Agreed.
And I think one thing is that why do we have to have an opinion on it? It's not
हाँ
important.
यार छोड़ो ना
They are not
नहीं
even
है
asking
नहीं है
for an
मेरे
opinion.
मुझे opinion
But they are.
तुम खुश
They
हो
are
तुम खुश
asking.
रहो
No,
No, they are
uh,
asking. They are
now
on your face.
on the streets and talking.
Maybe there are different reasons of asking it. Maybe they are asking it out of certain needs of or certain support that they require, and people there are certain group of people who understand it and may support it. But I come from a group of people who is very indifferent because I don't understand it. No, so I also have friends from that community and I'm really okay with them. We chill out, we behave like normal friends, doesn't matter who they come, like where they come from, what they do. But the point is that they should not be forcing their idea on me about how I should feel about it. Like, that's
So
very
far,
true.
when they are just being friends, we are being human, we're just being one part of a group. But when you are specifically saying that I should be, called like this, I should be dressing like this, and everybody should feel okay about it. First, you accept what you are, and then it should not matter what I feel about it. Like, I'm not asking you to change your way, but just to accept it, there's no need of it.
It's like that whole thing again, na, that if the conformity needs to be brought to the middle point,
Yeah.
and they push. So like, if you're trying to prove this point, you're gonna, and the goal is to hit 50%, you're gonna push to 75%, so that with the
that's what-
backlash you come down to.
Yeah.
I think it should be like politics. Some people like to have political opinions and others don't like to have political opinions. It's not necessary that, everyone must be a right wing or a left wing or everyone must know what they like, what they don't like. You should be okay with people having political opinions, and you should be okay with saying that, hey, I don't really have a political opinion, but I don't think politics is a bad thing either. I'm okay with politics,
And we'll call you out and say you're privileged to be apolitical.
In this case, along with the whole feminist thing, this is also a topic that I've been following quite a lot. First of all, I have a highly conservative view over here. Okay. What we discussed about having basic rights, their safety, okay, their right to vote or whatever it is, that goes for every single person. And it's not like the people with these feelings never existed before, they always existed, right? So that's not a question over here that they were not able to live properly. Okay. The other thing is the whole LGBTQ, and it's not just LGBTQ, it's right now it's LGBTIQ
QR,
plus
plus.
S, a
So
lot
go
of
back-
things they
go,
add.
go back one statement. I would disagree. It wasn't easy for them to
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't
exist
easy.
till maybe recently, and even in some cases today, it's not easy for them.
existing to take it, they couldn't even talk about it, come out.
Actually, I feel like
openly,
one of the
act
reasons that they are so
free.
insistent on talking about it is because they do not ever get a chance to
Chance,
talk about
exactly.
it, or they feel that repression that I could not speak about this to the
So-
people that I actually want to speak.
What is happening right now is, so first of all, the whole community, there is no issue because, of course, again, there are normal people only, okay? They behave, they work like normal people only. It's just that their choices are different, okay? Now, when it comes to teaching children, because children at times not know a lot of things. So what I see nowadays, the whole LGBTQ, and specifically we'll call it LGBTQ agenda, is that they're trying to impose what we are discussing. They're trying to impose their ideas, not just ideas. It is actually being implemented in a lot of school curriculum at primary level, which is completely wrong, right? Now, we'll take a very basic example, starting with the colors. Girl choosing a pink color and boy choosing a blue color, जो काफ़ी ट्रेडिशनल माइंडसेट चलता आ रहा है लोग, एंड इट्स फाइन, लड़का भी पिंक पहन सकता है, लड़की भी ब्लू कर सकती है, दैट इज ओके। लड़की भी लड़की भी ट्रक के साथ खेल सकती है, लड़का भी डॉल के साथ खेल सकता है, इट इज़ फाइन। नाउ इफ अ गर्ल सेज कि मुझे तो ये सारी चीज़ें अच्छी लगती, मुझे लड़के वाली चीज़ें ज़्यादा अच्छी लगती है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट आई डोंट फील लाइक आई एम अ गर्ल at the age of 7 years old, then that the child is not able to make the choice for herself, I'm specifically using her over here because वो girl है, लड़का नहीं है. Now, in the name of inclusivity, the community or the people who are driving this agenda, because they are quite powerful, right? What they are doing is they are allowing the mutation of genitals, they are allowing the mutation of the whole body, injecting the girl's body with testosterone, changing the whole structure of the body at the age of 7 years old. We were discussing during the break ki vote karne ka, alcohol ka, all of these things have a certain age. इसके लिए तो कुछ है नहीं, right? So even I look at these developed countries and feel very sad about their citizens because what they are doing is completely against nature, doing these mutations, cutting off breasts of a 14-year-old girl just because वो feel कर रही है ऐसा, not okay,
And
right?
she doesn't
That-
even
yeah.
know.
And that
Yeah.
feeling might be temporary.
Feelings might
will
change.
change. We are okay.
It
Yeah, so
might.
it's
We'll
just
have
But
the
I mean,
awareness.
anyway, how can you be at 18? How can you be held accountable for a decision you made when you were 8?
And based on that, if you're going to mutate children, and then what happens is they are coming up with anxiety issues, they're depressed,
Yeah.
a lot of them end up in having suicide.
Identity crisis हो जाएगा ना.
Identity crisis हो जाएगा.
Absolutely, absolutely.
हो रहा है.
And they commit suicide.
You know, when just a boy crying and someone coming up to that person where ladki idhar ro raha hai and all that stuff, that is bad. Imagine that boy is being subjected to a very hateful agenda against anyone who disagrees to him, you know, or her.
And why I said I'm feeling conservative about this, and I'll again go back to the math and I'll again go back to the average thing, because what I believe is the people having these feelings or from this community are in minority. Everyone agrees with that? They are in minority, right?
But I'm not a big fan of majority always being the decision-making process.
Yeah, again,
for
not the
validating
decision-making
a statement.
process.
But please continue.
Yeah, but what I understand from my point of view is that societal structure, हमारा या वेस्ट का जिसका भी है, that was set up for this. If we talk about the procreation or we talk about the harmony, right? Minority को ध्यान में उस टाइम पे नहीं रखा गया था. And we are seeing what is happening. I completely agree with this point that they should be able to express themselves, or at least the majority should not look down on themselves.
Right.
के साथ गलत चीज नहीं होनी चाहिए.
They
That is the
should
thing.
feel safe. They should feel included in the society and everything. But at the
But
same time, nobody, and I absolutely mean nobody, has the rights to come and force their perspective or thoughts on someone who has absolutely no idea. And just like, you know, Shark Tank's Namita Thapar, I would be like, ये मेरा expertise नहीं है, इसलिए I'm out.
You know, I think one of the points which I have gotten from your conversation right now is that the exclusivity of the past century or the past 100 years is now backfiring on people like children especially, who do not have the sense of knowing ki who exactly are they, what exactly do they want. So what's happening is that this community, because they have been feeling unsafe and all of these years, now they are trying to make more of them, you know, and like they are trying to get forced opinions from us. They are trying to have forced conversations, and this agenda is running because of all the exclusivity and how we were not including them, and how, you know, the society hasn't been talking about
So
them
it's out
openly.
of spite, you mean?
Exactly.
Right.
Just like it has happened in, happened in religion or
Yeah.
gender.
Right.
What I also feel is कि बच्चों को बचपन से अगर कुछ चीज़ों में आप expose करते हो certain type of knowledge, then that gets ingrained कि
ये
अगर
ना actually
Yeah.
ये तो
Yeah,
एक
the
kind of
interest-
double-edged sword है, क्योंकि उन लोग का justification ये है कि क्योंकि ऐसा हो सकता है कि वो जब ऐसे स्टेज में हो और वो खुद को एक दूसरा जेंडर मान रहे हो, तो उसी वक्त उनको इस चीज़ का सब एक्सप्लेनेशन, उसका इन्फॉर्मेशन, उसकी पॉसिबिलिटीज़, उसकी डिसीजन मेकिंग के ऑप्शन सब उसको अर्ली स्टेज पे पता होना चाहिए. और फ्लिप साइड ऑल्सो आई एग्री कि जब आप उसको इतने अर्ली स्टेज पे
इतना सारा
introduce
information
कर रहे हो, वो खुद कंफ्यूज हो गए, कोई ऐसा डिसीजन भी ले सकते हैं जो बाद में उसको बहुत डिसएडवांटेजेस लगे.
there are teenagers I know of that because they were exposed to these kind of things in social media, they are quite confused that they like a boy or not, or they like a girl or not. Imagine going in a traditional way, having a group of girls or a group of boys, and boys talking about मेरे को ये पसंद है, and girls talking about this guy or that guy, right? So in my personal capacity, I feel that's quite a natural thing. आप उसको conservative मानो या कुछ भी मानो, but I think that's just the way it is. Now people may have their choices after a certain age, and that is completely fine. But I would like to have the nature's course take itself rather than, try to change it.
Yeah.
You try to impose your ideas and change it. That confuses people.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you don't agree with a lot of things, if you don't blindly agree with a lot of things that some members of the community say, you're definitely labeled as homophobic. Homophobic, transphobic, whatever you want.
सामने वाला जेंडर मुझे कभी नहीं समझ पाएगा. The other gender will never understand what it is like to be me.
Disagree.
Okay,
I think it's all about communication. I think if you communicate well, you can understand the other person. So my favorite thing is listen to understand, don't listen to respond. If you do that, then you can reach common ground very fast, whatever gender it is.
I'll make a quick joke. I'm a married guy.
You're married?
So I'll say my wife
He's
will not
jealous.
my wife
Oh,
will not
yeah. I'm happy. He doesn't look that old.
So I'll say my wife does not. That's just a joke, okay? Damini, if you're listening this, it's a joke. Yeah, but the prompt was that the other gender
Doesn't understand.
doesn't understand. Okay, I believe दोनों का अपना अपना रोल रहता है कि some of the things will be able to understand, some of the things will not be able to understand. Like I believe what it feels like to have periods, and in that time work, घर का काम या बाहर का काम will not be able to understand. Men will not be able to understand that part completely, and similarly some of our part maybe they will not be able to understand. So it's quite subjective.
I mean, so many times now I've seen so many healthy relationships where the guy is so understanding and accommodating. Like, what do you want? Can I get you, I don't know, what, a blanket or a change of clothes, or you want to get something from outside, you want to eat something, whatever. I think
Things are changing
No,
that way.
that's true. But I'm saying that the actual
अबे
team
वो
felt
तो मैं
that.
क्या
I mean,
कर सकता हूँ इसके बारे में?
Communication does help a lot,
Communication
have
for
that much-
sure.
But in general, it's a little
you cannot
difficult
be
to
there in
understand
their,
pain.
you can never be in their shoes.
Yeah,
That is
no,
the thing.
you
But the
can't.
communication definitely helps. If that is
Communication
how you overcome the
We're talking
whole.
about understanding the opposite gender.
Yeah.
So I do feel a lot of times that, let's say for example, if we're talking about the pressures of being a guy, or let's say for example, if there is something to do with a guy's life, if I'm talking to my girlfriend, or I've seen a lot of times that if a guy is talking to his wife, they understand. They are able to put things into perspective. They're able to talk more on that conversation rather than just be like, तुम ही जानो बेस्ट है क्या तुम्हारी लाइफ में. उससे वो तो बहुत फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग आंसर हो जाएगा किसी के लिए.
No, that is definitely true.
हो जाता है as time passes if you are open to, but it goes both ways. So if person A is listening to person B, but person B does not listen to person A, then that channel also shuts down. So it goes both ways. I think given enough time and the willingness to kind of understand the other person helps.
At the same time, I have this thing where I have been accused, legitimately, I've been accused of understanding the opposite person too much.
That is so rare to
How
happen.
dare you?
That is so rare. You know,
So what happens is,
To psychoanalyze them. We're like, तुमने ऐसा
not psychoanalyze. What happened was, there was this fight I was in, and that fight went on for longer than usual. So I just casually said, "Are you hungry? Why do you know me so much?" And chalo, and I'm like, "अब वो भी मेरा fault है."
so
not
on
a
the
fault.
contrary, I'll tell you this, that I have been, so when I have a conversation with my boyfriend, I try explaining my part of it. There's a lot of times when he's like, okay, I have never thought about this. Like, it does exist, but this is a good thing. There's a new thing. And that does happen vice versa. When he's trying to explain me things, I'm like, I don't even know that exists. So it is a very good way of, and that is how you overcome the...
I think after a certain point in a relationship, whether it be romantic or any guy-girl relationship, I feel that so even when one person explains what they're trying to make the other person understand, it may be something that is not very जो value system है कि let's say for example female को इस topic में value दिख रही है और उसको लग रहा है कि ये ऐसा हुआ तो मुझे बुरा लगना चाहिए, and guy might be like ठीक है ना यही बोला क्या problem है.
Yeah.
But then when you cross that okay, it's not important for me, obviously it's important for this person, which means that there is a perspective that I'm not seeing, or there is a value system that I have not.
To some extent डिफरेंस कहाँ पे होता है, मुझे भी ये लगता है कि men काफी ज्यादा दिमाग से सोचते हैं, right?
I was about to come to that.
And ladies, I think they are quite emotional. So काफी सारी चीजें जो हम नहीं देख पाते, लगता है कि हमको हाँ ये तो ठीक है, दिल भी रहे कि हाँ this is a problem, and I think there is a issue with the perspective.
So EQ, when we come to EQ, I think emotional quotient जो है तो women and men का बहुत drastically अलग है ही. You have to accept that fact. Or maybe I'm just trying to say that expressive,
know,
you
because
know,
there's so
no,
many-
feeling, having an emotion, expressing it, and being able to communicate it is also very drastically different from between a man and a woman. So I don't think so that it's about, of course, communication plays a very big role.
I've seen opposite versions also of this. I've seen where the guy is so expressive and the girls just
Fair,
like
fair.
blank.
Could be
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah,
मुझे
yeah.
नहीं
I
feel हो रहा है,
totally
मैं क्या
agree. I've
बोलूँ
come
अभी?
across so many guys who are like very emotional and good, like expressive emotionally as well.
Sometimes to the point that it's difficult for the girl to accept or match up to that amount of expression. Yeah.
Where are they?
It all boils.
Me stopping at movies and the person with me like, why are you crying? Yeah, I'm sobbing. I'm like, all water from my nose, my eyes, everywhere, and I'm like, what? Why am I only crying? So it happens. That's a very different. What do you call it? Perception of that particular emotion at that point of time. But in general, what happens is that the communication, because I think of myself as a good communicator, I communicate quite well. So what I try to do is that I try to explain in the kind of language that is understandable to the opposite person. But at the same time, getting those communication cues from the opposite gender is a little bit of a tricky thing, and you have to find it.
I agree.
There are nuances, you have to pick up on those. The hidden frequency, reading between lines and all that. It doesn't work with us usually. We are very plus and minus people.
We're also easy to get to the point. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, to the point.
यही
We are
बात करनी है ना, तो
discussing
कर
to
लेना।
the point.
वही कर लेते हैं ना,
I think
वरना don't
this
beat
is
around
the
the
problem
bush.
actually. वो beat around the bush लगता है, but then there are so much things going on that the person is not able to frame. उसको खुद ही ये धीरे-धीरे realize हो रहा है with the journey कि उसको actually हुआ क्या है.
So I think what they want, and they mean women,
Yeah.
what they want is they want men to understand that we want this without them saying that they want this.
That is not.
it's true.
Especially in the relationship part.
There are times when
You
I'm like, I don't
expect
know
us
what
to
is
be
happening.
face
Something is
readers,
happening.
mind readers,
कुछ गड़बड़ है.
When
and
marriage
body
made.
What
readers
happened?
at the
We
same time.
expect people to be more diligent in their efforts to understand it.
Efforts 100% होते हैं. Sometimes
We
they
have
are
to make them understand.
You
We
expect
need
us
to
to be
make
a
them
CIA
understand what is
operative
happening
able
in the
to
first place.
decode your
I've
body.
seen
Yeah,
a
it's
meme.
very difficult.